I'll put it with her books. So these are, instead of whiteboards that I would have to clean every week, I bought you these. And really, Rachel, if you want an extra one, you're okay? Okay. Probably put your name on it just in case. What's so cool about them is we do get the graphs on one side and the whiteboard on the other. And because we're going to be going into Algebra 2, I really hate using them. We get to work on the equation of a line on the front, so that's really good because, woohoo, Algebra 2. So that's fun. You guys are like, not impressed. Okay, so John and Joe, would you give one to every parent and student, please? Thank you. I just passed out. Okay, who still needs guides? Come on up, Briley, Maddie. Who else? Oh, Ava, you still need a guide. Livy, you need a guide. Come get your guide, baby. I didn't, but I trust that you sent it. One and one. Okay. So does everybody have a guide with them? Y'all, now you have a guide? Okay. So here's the deal. Anyways, I forgot to bill the $50 supply fee in the beginning. If you didn't pay it yet today, just sometime do it because I'm going to spend it. I am going to see if I can borrow microscopes, but I don't want to have to go back and forth with a microscope between the library and because it's going to be a pain for me because we're going to use them every week and first semester. So what I probably am going to do is buy at least one more, which is okay because it'll filter the community. I'm going to have to talk to Alkini because she used them last and there was only one. And I know we bought two and have yours. Oh, okay, so we don't have yours. That would be wonderful. Okay, so there's only one in there. Does anyone, and you're the only, so you have a microscope. Can you do me a favor and make sure you put your name on it some way so that it gets back to you? Because anything we buy for the community, I like it. I'm fine, even though this is my tail right here. I still like it to keep going down through people. We actually need the one. It needs to be able to. I don't know. I can't remember, but it has to be able to do 1,000 or something magnification. So yeah, I want to make sure. Are you moms? Tell me, how do you feel about me doing? So I could do. Well, obviously I can do these 3 to a microscope, but I can do 2 to a microscope or 3. I'm just missing Lexi. Are you okay with 2 or 3? I can put Lily with. I'm missing Chloe and I'm missing Lexi. That's right. Yeah. Can I get a feel for where our levels of anxiety are as parents with COVID? I know Laura seems to be pretty Okay, guys, wait a minute. A pause. This is Laura Picard and Lily Picard joining us this year. I'm going to introduce you. You know Corey Howard, Taryn Boone. So we've got CCers, Missy Snell, Brianna Martin, Linda Miller. And this is Linda Miller. So the only person her mama, Ginger, is in, Ginger. Okay. And then Lily. Everybody introduce yourself really quick. Start here. You know my kids? JoJo's hair might confuse you. You know each other? You know each other? Go ahead, Bri. Okay. All right, so now we know each other. So tell me, how do you feel, masks and things? Where are you at in the spectrum? Gotcha. I can see. Okay. Linda, how are you? Where are you at in the... Okay. All right. Mama is here. Same. Okay. And you are. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. So, so here's the thing I think we need to do as a class, and I may seat you in a way as a class that want those of you that want to wear masks, that feel more comfortable with masks. I may put you guys kind of in a row, and the ones that are less like concerned. I didn't ask you three. Mm. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm sorry. Can you give me a bottle of water from that corner? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's the CDC. I can send you the CDC link, but so no, but it qualifies like this. If you are 6 feet or closer, and both you could be in full PPE, and I mean it says that on there for 15 minutes. It's 15 minutes plus. So in that time period, the one question I am having trouble figuring out, and believe me, I'm a researcher, so I've been researching, is do those 15 minutes have to be consecutive? So maybe I stood and talked to you, and I was a little closer than 6 feet, and we talked for 5 minutes, and then I walked away, and then maybe half an hour later I talked to you, and then so here's what's happening with the CDC. I haven't been contact traced myself, but here's what's happening. They are going to err way conservative. So if they think that so what I think is they're going to tell me if I ask somebody, it doesn't have to be consecutive. That's my guess. But all they say is it's 15 minutes of exposure within 6 feet. Um, I I think that if the way I'm planning on doing our class, I'm going to do a mix of 8-foot tables and 4-foot tables. And we have this whole space that's probably going to pull down the chairs in the middle. My husband's going to adore me. He loves me so much. So if you imagine this whole huge square in the middle is our class, we can still have great conversations because we're facing each other. I could even still pull off a Socratic circle by putting the chairs up against those tables and letting them talk. They're not close, but they can still have outside and inside circle, but we can socially distance. So we're going to be able to do even better than 6 feet. I'm looking at closer to 8 between them, because I want to do everything I can to keep us from having to go virtual. I don't want anyone to feel singled out, by the way, if you prefer to wear a mask. This is a big thing that has been online. My kids are all fine wearing them. They're sitting here wearing them, and they're fine, and they could take them off. I mean, technically, with our church rules, they could take them off. So, we just haven't, none of us have experienced what it feels like yet to go through an entire CC day in a mask. I think we're just going to have to let everybody try. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Exactly. Which is a biblical worldview. So you brought two things to my mind with the biblical worldview. One is stigma. So what has happened to some people is it's almost become like a leprosy. I don't have it. Don't worry, I don't have it. You have colds all the time, and tell them, okay, coronavirus is the same virus that causes the common cold. It's not embarrassing. It's a virus. Chickenpox is a virus. The flu is a virus. So if there's no stigma. So if we have a biblical worldview, how did Jesus treat sick people? How should we treat sick people, right? Next thing that you said is, how do my actions affect other people? It's so funny to hear all of these people in government. I mean, I have deeply respected Governor Edwards in the handling of this, and he talks about being a good neighbor. If you don't know, last week he called for 3 days of fasting and prayer and prayed specifically for people to be healed. And I'm like, this is my Democratic governor asking us to fast and pray. Like, truly, he means it. Don't eat and pray for healing, for racial unity and healing in our state. This, for help for our first responders. I'm like, whoa, dude. My kids are used to my whoa, dude. It's been a while. You missed me, didn't you? Anyways, you're going to get used to that, Lily. It's one of my really cool sayings that I say. So anyways, yes, what does it mean to be a good citizen? A good friend? A good church attender? Family member? A good CC family member? So, yeah, you got to think wide. So it's not just, well, I don't like it and I don't want it, If I don't need to go to the grocery store 5 times a week. These are kinds of things that it's just being a good, right now in this season, a good citizen. So is everyone cool with, so yeah, Corey, I hear what you're saying. So we don't want to make it, this is the mask side and this is the no mask side. There shouldn't be division. I hear you. You're right. No, it is. If there's no fast, I hate using this. It's just because of screen. There's no easy answer because it is so complex. So I think if we just always come back to that biblical worldview, and so those are just the two things that came to me. Stigma, because Bella's first response was like, it's not coronavirus. We're all gonna know somebody. If you don't already personally know, who does personally know somebody? Anybody? Yeah. Okay. I mean, we have missionary friends that, they may not be people I'm in contact with regularly, but a friend that, nearly died. So we all know somebody, and if you don't, pretty much count on between now and December, you're going to know somebody. So you don't shun someone with a cold. You might not hug them, but you're like, you have a cold? Stay away from me. So, but on the other hand, we don't want to give other people our cold if we knowingly have a cold. So, is that enough? Are we cool? Are you comfortable with the spacing? We in here, basically, the doorknobs will have to spray down. That's about it. Okay. You guys got this, my agenda thing? Go for it. So it is a lot of work. If we're going to take these chairs down, we might have to see if we can get some help on Sundays. But he works 9-hour days on Monday and Tuesday at Life Storage, so he'll be coming over. He gets off work about 6:30. We'll have to talk about it. He used to do it when the kids were at CYT. When John was at CYT, he would come over here and set up, and then go pick them up. I don't know that there's going to be CYT this. They are going to have classes. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll figure it out. Yes, it would be nice to have. Definitely, our class will have to help put the chairs back. And we might leave it for foundations. The chair's gone at least. It's going to be our older foundations class will be in here. Okay, let's look at this little agenda guy so we can. I'm going to try to watch our time, but let's look at the agenda. So last year, what was our theme? Anyone remember? Last year? Did everybody get one of these things of the agenda? Challenge to orientation? We got plenty. Yeah, Jojo. I just licked my finger so I can't touch it, but you make sure they need it. You do? Sorry. I better clean my hand. I licked my finger. Ew, Miss Shauna spit. Last year was, what is the cornerstone of what? Something is the cornerstone of what was last year? Come on. Yes, ma'am. Is the cornerstone of? Yes. So last year, we looked at freedom a lot. What in the books we read last year in American Lit, can you think of one of your favorite characters that represented freedom? Lots of thinking. Come on. Who was somebody in American Lit last year that you think? I know, baby. Do I need to come up with some? See, we read Red Badge of Courage, and we read Sign of the Beaver and Scarlet Letter. Go ahead. Booker T. Washington. Very good. Somebody else. Let's see. Old Man in the Sea. Starship Troopers. Up from Slavery. Kill a Mockingbird. Born Again. What else was first semester? Red Badge of Courage, Johnny Tremaine. I know you guys gave me great books. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. They were like perfect. Someone tell me, do you remember in Scarlet Letter, was Hester Prynne did she live her life like a free person the whole story? Did she ever feel free in the story? Maybe when? Right at the very, very end, we had all these different characters. Oh, guys, our themes are important. We got to keep these themes going because and then in our history, as we looked at, trying to think last year what we looked at. Oh, economics. We had what kind? Free market economics last year. That's something that people are trying to do what with right now? Right? People don't like the idea of free market economics, and there are people tearing down cities to get rid of free market economics as we speak. Did you know that? You learned about econ last year, yes or no? Did you have an economics class? Yes. And you learned that in our country we have free market economics. Sometimes it's called something that starts with a C. And ends with an ism. Capitalism, right? And there's a lot of people right now very angry about that. You also had American government. Anyone remember one of the great big freedom pieces of documents that you read? Declaration of Independence. That's nice. Okay. This year we're going to change and we're going to take that freedom, which last year you guys were learning to walk in freedom, that freedom allows for what? You see it right there? Noble choices. So as we read these books, I brought a few books, and we're going to talk about them, but these are books for mamas. But in American and British lit, CC is so cool because they make sure the theme weaves through, right? So we're going to be looking at a lot of choices, not just in lit, but we're also going to be looking at choices once we start reading about the conquest of Gaul and things that happened with Caesar. We're going to be reading in Latin. We're going to be looking at choices that formed our Western culture. We're going to be looking at music history and art history and Western civilization and how we became who we are today. We're going to look at Socratic dialogues. We're going to read Socrates, which is a lot of fun, and he kind of looks at how we make choices to land where we are. In biology, you're going to choose, I know this sounds silly, but it's so important to me when we look into biology that we choose to find wonder in what God's creation is. That we don't just do it for the sake of, ooh, that's cool, let's look in that microscope. Or, ooh, we're cutting up a frog, let's see what all the different things we can do to this frog once we've done what we're supposed to do. No, no, no. We're going to be in awe and wonder. And yeah, every time I haven't ordered your specimens yet because I cry every time I try. Because I look at them and I get disgusted and I start crying. And so, when you try to window shop and find the best deal on fetal pigs, it makes me cry. So, I'm just saying. All right, so, choices, right? Choices. We're going to come to that in a minute. Parents, we are a 3-part faculty. Everybody has your freshman year done in academicrecords.net, right? You've all graded your students and you have the freshman year done, right? Finished. Grades in. I'm looking. So I do something called Home Life Academy that I've done for years because in Florida we didn't have like the cool lax laws that we get in Louisiana. So academicrecords.net, my counselor is like, grades are due, grades are due, grades are due. So my grades are done because they get very unhappy with me if I don't do my grades. I am a resource to you parents. I'm part of your 3-part faculty. Don't wait any longer. If your grades are not in for freshman year, do them before the end of August. Please. I will help you. The nice thing with academicrecords.net is CC owns it. CC owns all kinds of things. They also own homeschoolcounselor.com or .net, which will assign you, and they're pretty reasonably priced, they assign you a counselor who will walk through high school with you. If you want my help, I can do a lot of that for you. Corey's done it once or twice, but she probably won't tell you that she does it year by year. Do you? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Go to college. Yeah. So the best thing, and I'm going to tell you, one thing is because it's hard to say and have a real conversation with your student, let's talk about what grade you think you should be given for biology. Ms. Shauna turned her assessment in. It looks like do any of you have your blue folders? Here we go. Looks like from your folder, when I look at the folder, so we do this every week, Laura, so you know. It looks that when I look at your folder, it looks like you got your biology work turned in every week. Or there's one week that said 50%. Let's see, why was that 50%? Oh, you had debate that week. Okay. And I told you could only do half. So, and you did all your presentations. And so what do you think you can get? You know what's going to happen a lot of times with your kids? They're going to say, B. Why a B? And you get to have a, come on, parents. You get to have a, thank you, Laura, a conversation. Because most of the time, they deserve an A. A lot of the times, not all. Can I just tell you that these 3 did not get the same grades and everything? They all did very well. Some of them, they all turned everything in different strands. Not one of them turned everything in across the board. Close. One of them was close. But not everything across the board. So we didn't blanket. I haven't discussed their grades with them yet, by the way, because my place was like, give me your grades. But I use that folder of their checking in. I use that folder because I don't know what they've actually done and not done. So every week they come in, and the first thing they do is say, yes, I got my Latin done. Yes, I got my research done. And it says it's a covenant. And the covenant says, to the best of my knowledge, this is true between me, my tutor, my parent, and God. And they sign it. And they have to initial it every week, and then I initial it. So I'm not going to look and make sure everything is done. But parents, if they are doing their work, sorry, it's recorded. If they're doing their work and they're doing their presentations and you see that they're trying, reward that. Because you've heard me talk about my scarlet letter A that I wore through high school, and that A defined me. Don't let a letter define your student. This transcript is just a step towards college. And I'm just going to be really super honest with you. Let me just be super honest, and Corey can probably do the same thing. College, universities, for now, this is going to change because the homeschool movement is growing. They're going to care way more about our kids' ACT scores than their high school transcript, because they figure they're homeschool students. You can give them whatever grade you want. So, and just so you all know, if you don't know this, next year you'll change the way you register for homeschool from, registered, non-approved, registered school or whatever to home study. If you want, I would say even if you don't know, because I had a girl tell me at 16 that she was absolutely going to a private school in Texas, and don't register her that way. And now she's transferred to UL, and we can't get tops. So you can only get it starting your freshman year anyways. But all that to say, it is, I think the grading process needs to be a conversation. It's way more important than a letter. It's an opportunity for you to reflect together and say, you know, I saw that essay you wrote on the Blue Book. I'm impressed with how much you retained. It's your opportunity to cheer. Okay, let me keep going because I know I'm taking too long. Parents, look at what you are. Let's get some freedom in our parents here. You're the primary teachers, but remember this, your students have already gone through ownership, discipline, freedom, and choices. It's their choice whether they're going to get an education at this point or not. If they're going to sit and play Xbox all day, I mean, that's really sad. But you can't force them. They're 15, turning 16 this year. So you can pick up the Xbox and put it in a car and give it to Goodwill. You know, you can do that for sure. But they can still just pout and not learn. So you are the teacher in the sense that you are the curriculum giver. You are the and I changed some of this with CC because I don't think at this level calling you a lead learner is fair anymore, honestly. How many of you could keep up with Algebra 2 and 20 novels this year? Are you going to read 20 novels? No, you're kind of paying me to do that. So that's all right. I don't mind that. But, you know, you've got a house full of littles. You're not reading 20 novels this year. Let's just be honest. So what you are is you're a resource giver. So your child, you realize they're still not doing their multiplication tables. You, instead of a freak out, you do whatever you need to do to get them the resources to get their multiplications tables down. You know, you realize that we're not even ready for Algebra 1. It's okay, really. You do whatever you need to do to put resources in their hands to move forward. If they don't communicate with you, that's a different story, but we'll talk about that later. You're the primary source of accountability. You set goal, oversee assignments. This is a big one, and we're not going to go through this in the guide, but you can tailor seminars. If you see that there is too much happening, you can say, as a family, we've decided we're not going to write this essay. And please just communicate to me, because it's kind of hard when someone comes into class and says, Miss Shauna, Mom said I don't have to do that. Well, okay, I don't have one of your kids that I would in a million years think would lie to me, honestly. But it's easier for me if I can say, yeah, they already told me, fine. So when they fill out this, I'm sorry, I'm going to borrow this again, Taryn. When they fill this out, and it says, how much of your work did you get done? A lot of them put a check mark if it's all finished. I want them to say, if Mom said I don't have to write that essay for British Lit, you say I got 100% done, because it was 100% of what was assigned to you. You're not missing any work. Does that make sense? To my students too? Okay, that's really important to me. Moms, you have that right. You know what's going on in your lives. If someone gets sick, you may have to give them a whole week's worth because we're going without a break this semester. It's going to be heavy. So if you need to tailor, please tailor. My kids love to ask me to tailor. So please, tailor. 2 of my kids. So you stay current. I'm going to give you this. John, can you just hand that to everybody? This lives on my refrigerator. It used to be, in the beginning, when I was really ideal, and you might be ideal. See, so week 1 is across the top, then 2. It's the snapshot out of the guide. In the beginning, I had them each initial when they had each thing done. So when they had done all of their grammar, all their research, I would just have them go up and initial, and then I'd look at the fridge and say, oh, that's all done. And that lasted about 2 weeks. So, but I have 3. You have 1. So I'm just saying, it's an easy accountability system for you to ask your student, hey, when you finished your British Lit, would you mind just throwing your initials on that on the fridge? The other main thing that makes it nice is you can look ahead and see when the hand that's there means there's an essay that's due, that they're writing something, or a lab report. And you'll see the big like art grant proposal. If you look down, you might even highlight that. So you can say, hey, how are you coming on your art grant proposal for week 10? So it lives on my fridge. I really, like, as a parent, I think this is the best tool for you as a parent. You're not going to be able to read everything, but you can sure say, tell me about Robinson Crusoe, never read it. Or do you like Pilgrim's Progress? You know, when I was a kid, I read it. The other thing is almost all of these have movies. Beowulf has a really weird movie, but it's there. So just so you know. But just so you know, too, we're reading Modest Proposal, not Gulliver's. I think I told everybody that already. All right. It's your job, parents, to administer tests and assign grades. I'm not going to give tests. I think y'all know that. If I test my children if I want to, but not you guys. My job is to be the lead learner, seminar facilitator. I'm going super fast. Engage students, qualitative assessment. As much as they want to turn into me, I will read. It's like my nerd form of fun. I put in the handbook, and normally I like to get physical copies of things. This year, because of COVID, I'm thinking that maybe using Google Docs would be good, or Word sending me stuff. I like Google Docs because it's so easy for me to comment, or Word, but if you want to turn things in digitally, I know you like to do some PDFs for me, baby doll, but if you sent it to me in this baby doll, Ava, you sent me babe, but if you would send it to me in the raw form instead of converting it, that'd be a little easier. But if you send it to me, then I can comment, send it back, and I normally copy your parent. And that's nice for your parent to see my notes, too. All right. Parents, you're always welcome here on Community Day. I will do my best to communicate. Guys, I'm easy. If you ever have an issue with me, talk to me. I would much rather that than you walking around wondering or being upset or feeling like I had said something. Just communicate. And I need to offer you progress reports. I'm supposed to do it at week 7 and at the end of the semester with the Blue Book. I'm not always the best at getting them done timely, but I do get them done. Students, look at your jobs. Let's see. Let's start. Maddie, read the first thing a student's supposed to do, that first bullet. Does that all make sense? Livy, read the next one. Does that make sense? I'm going to say about this that CC doesn't provide for us to learn every possible subject. A lot of times you'll go to high school and you'll take a class and you're done, and a class and you're done. You know, we have 4 years of Latin that take up a whole seminar that other people would have maybe taken 2 years and then have 2 more years that they could take stuff. That's not the idea with CC. The idea is to learn how to learn. Because not to learn and trash it, but to learn how to learn. And then you can master anything. You have that toolkit. Lily, read the next one. Ask questions to seek truth. I put on the back of this, I'm not going to read it all, but on the back page, I have where Jesus says, basically, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. I put that whole passage there because I felt like it was so appropriate. And the very first thing Jesus says is, don't worry or surrender to your fear. And then he goes on and has that conversation with his disciples. We're going to be talking a lot about some truth, goodness, and beauty. I'm not going to get to do everything I wanted to do, but I am going to do this when we get to it. But truth, goodness, and beauty. What is truth? Ask questions to seek truth. Think about that. You're looking for truth in biology. We're going to have a whole module on evolution. We were seeking truth. Logic and Socratic dialogues, we're seeking truth. Every seminar, there's some part of it that you're looking for truth. You guys are all at a place that no one is going to spoon feed you truth anymore. But what do we have to do before we can ever start this journey? If I want to seek truth, I need to define my terms, right? If I had an issue, if I had help me with debate, a resolution, before I ever started, I would need to make sure I understood. So if I'm going to be seeking truth, what words do I need to define in there? What word? One big word. Yeah, so come ready, because on week 1, it may take us the entire year, because you're doing it without me, but I need you to give me a definition of truth. Do you know, could you define truth? You think it's easy? I think you guys are going to disagree. I think that you are not going to agree on how to define truth, that we're not even going to be able to move past truth, beauty, and goodness until you define the word truth. And I have a feeling that you guys are going to disagree on what truth is. And I'm not going to give you the answer. And parents, don't feed them the answer. What is truth? You ready to tell me in class? You're thinking. I see some eyes thinking. How are you going to figure it out? Okay. After that, JoJo. Will you do it? Rachel, the next one. Great. Gracie, next one. Very nice. John. That is everybody's job in this 3-part faculty. You have your job description for the year. That's important. More important to me than going over the guide is knowing what you are committing to doing this year, and that's it. The challenge guide, your guide is divided into 3 parts. We normally trash the first part. Don't do that. Read it. The first part is why. Why do we study science classically? Why in the world do we read so many books in British literature? Why do we have 4 years of Latin? It's the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. All of that is answered in the first part of the guide. Please don't trash it. Please read it. and then do whatever you want to with it. But please read it, because it's why we're doing what we're doing. Everything that we do in CC is done for a purpose. You don't get online and pick and choose classes and say, I want this, and this year, and this is my sophomore year of high school. Woohoo! No, it's all built on all the way back to foundations. It's built for a reason. It's built. We have a foundation. It's called Foundations for a reason, and then Essentials, and then each year of challenge is built up on that. So you read it, and you figure out the why. We already looked at the snapshot. I would love it if you would just look really quick at page 40 in your guide. What's the first day of class? When does school start for you? Good answer. Yes. So the 19th is your first community day. So what would that make the first day? At a minimum, you begin your work. So when we get to the back in the appendix, I'm going to talk a little bit more about each individual strand. I understand that we're all over the board on our math. I am a big proponent. You know this. We do not compare. We don't compare. There are no winners or losers in math. It is not a race. Okay? We're not racing so we can get to calculus as fast as possible. No, we're not. It's not a race. Actually, next year, my goal is to take you guys all the way through 4 to graduate with you and all of us go on that cruise together. That's my dream. All of you, all your babies. I know. We'll talk. Maybe it'll be better by then and we'll have the whole boat. But that's my dream, and at least have a graduating class together somehow. In that, maybe next year in math, we will do some things where we concentrate, do half the CC math and half ACT math to make sure that everyone's really ready for the ACT. But I'm required as a director to use Saxon Algebra 2 and walk through it. So I will, because I'm a rule follower, so I will, and my husband's an SR. But that doesn't mean I expect all of you to be doing that. We may do like we did last year. I may split the class. I may we talk through an example problem in there. We'll probably have some sort of speed drill together and divide you into 2 groups. And we'll have 2 different groups so that you can feel like you're learning something that's closer to the level you're working at home. So, Latin 2. No crying. There is no crying in Latin. Latin 2 will be fun. There is less work in the exercises than you had in 1. And then by second semester, it is mostly reading. Fun. Biology. First semester is almost all microscope work. It is a brand new, shiny, beautiful book. Second semester, there is some enjoyable, I don't know, I might still trade with somebody. I'm thinking about this. I want to teach you every strand that I might not do. I think I've told you this, but I get on every day on the tutors, Challenge 2 Tutors Facebook page, and a tutor was talking about how last year, instead of the fetal pig, their class was so excited because guess what they dissected for last thing? You ready? Pregnant rats. And her words were like exciting and fun, and they loved it. And all I could think about was, where would be the closest place for me to throw up? So we are not dissecting any pregnant rats. If you want to give a rat a C-section, I will tell your mom where to order a pregnant rat. But I'm not giving a rat a C-section. We have traditional logic 2, which is a little, maybe in first semester, maybe a little more challenging than logic 1. It's not super hard. And then we will read through this book in class, which I love. And if you don't have a copy yet, let me know. I accidentally bought a couple extras. Strunk and White, Elements of Style. So I always bring an extra to class because someone will forget it. And what we do is, it is like details of where do you put a comma? How do you start a paragraph? Is it affect or effect? That kind of thing. So it's fun. Second semester, we read Socrates. So week 1, you see what you're doing at home. Everybody, you guys know this, so I don't have to spend much time because you are Like, you've all been doing this since Challenge A. British Lit on the next page. And then debate is going to be interesting because we're going to be weaving through culture. We're going to watch videos in class that you will have a lot of fun making fun of the man because he looks like he's from late 70s, and he's interesting. And Marvelous to Behold is a newer book. And so what we'll be actually reading, what you're actually needing to read at home is this guy where primary reading is coming from. How Should We Then Live? I inherited a spiral-bound copy. And this one, Classical Music for Dummies. This one, Marvelous to Behold. Those three, okay? These others, and I found them used online because I needed multiple copies. Gift of Music and State of the Arts are supplemental. Don't have to have them. You can get this information online. And I'm going to touch base with on those in just a second. Okay. So that is, I'm going to have you flip all the way to the appendix. At the front of the appendix, there's always a good article or two. That's page, let's see, 135. That's talking about practicum. And if you keep flipping, and some of these articles are repeats. If you've never read them, read them. And now I'm just going to go down the line. It's noon. Can I have till 12? How long can I have? How many more minutes? Tell me. 15? Are you guys dying? Because I would like to just show you. I just want to kind of, do you need a demonstration, or are you cool with math as a conversation? Do you want me to show you something, or are we good? Yes, show me. No, don't. Here. Let's see. You want to see something real quick? Okay. So what happens with math a lot of times is we want to hustle and solve. And if you are like me, what happened is then you grew up and you forget, right? You forget. You know some math, but you forget a lot. So math, the whole idea of math is a conversation, and what we'll do is I will probably demonstrate to the class 1 out of the 4 lessons. That's all I can probably do of where we're at in Saxon 2. Then I'm going to divide into 2 groups, and I'll probably have the more advanced group be on their own unless I happen to have a parent that can help. And they'll keep going with where they're at in Saxon. The other group, I'm going to go back more towards Algebra 1 material, a little earlier material. Again, it is not a contest, right? But I am supposed to do the demonstrating. I might float between the groups. I might give one group, some problems to work together on the board. So I'm going to try to have 2 boards for that. All right, let me show you something. This is let's see. John, actually, here. Would you write? I'm sorry. Here. You're welcome. Can you write this on the board? Write 3xy minus, it's not working. Of course it's not. Let's see if the green one will do it. I didn't touch the green one. I can't believe it's not working. Of course, 3xy minus, minus 2x plus 4 minus 6yx plus 3x. Can you just stand to the side? So, who is already to this place in algebra? Like you've already worked with this stuff? Some? Yeah. Algebra 2 could be intimidating if we let it be. It looks like a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to go, I'm going to use 5 common topics, but I'm not going to be so rigid like this. Now we're in definition. But watch how 5 common topic works. 5 common topics. First of all, can someone tell me what letters. Instead of calling them letters, what do we call those things in algebra? Does anybody know? Maddie. Variables. And what are some names that we could call the numbers? Should we even call them numbers? Saxon, we learned that we should call them numerals, right? We're going to call them numerals. What kind are they? What do you see? Whole numbers. Thank you, Mama. What else? What other kind of numbers? They're real numbers. What else? Thank you. We have positive and negative, so we have signs, because in algebra, something we like to do when we're working in algebraic terms is this trick. Does anyone remember the little trick that we like to do? Go for it, Mama. Yes. Exactly. So can you make this a plus negative for me, please? Does anyone remember doing this before? So to see how they're related, that's fine. Just the other negative over here. Plus negative. Okay. You don't. She did, but you don't. So now, tell me, what's an operator? What does an operator do in math? What does it tell us? Give me an example of an operator, somebody. Jojo, wake up. Give me an example of an operator, son. Okay, equals? It tells us that, but does this have an equal? It doesn't, so it's not telling us, right? If it had an equal sign, it would be in what? What? Equation, but this isn't an equation. So we're just going to simplify it. Jojo, what's another operator? Plus sign. What else? But you know well. Plus, negative, positive, minus, right? Multiplication, division. Yeah, those are all our big operators we know. Tell me, when you look at the variables, do you see any matching variables? What do you see? Let's underline the matching. Oh, it's like we're in kindergarten again. What matches? What do you see? We call them like terms. Very nice, like terms. So what matches? Do you see? Do you see two like? Let's just see the one that is just one variable that matches. We have what matches? Yeah, can you underline those? Now, let me ask you something. We've been talking about this at home a little bit. Now, my kid, not with all my kids, and my kids are not going to appreciate that. Can I borrow this for just a second? So, this, and this all mean the same thing. What? What operation? What is that operation? Multiplication. Now, what if I was to do this? X, oh no, don't go away. X times Y, X times Y, X, Y. But look at this cool thing you can do. When we have variables, there you go. I can do this. What does all of this mean? Multiplication. It means x times y, x times y, x times y, x times y. So if you look up there, do you see any multiplication on the board? Where, John? You see any variables that are being multiplied on this board? Come on. See, go ahead, Bella. Very good. Now let me ask you before we finish this part. There is a multiplication law that tells me I can do something. You ready? I can say 3 times 2, or I can say, what law lets me do that in math? Oh, this is authority if you didn't know that, by the way. What law says I can do that? Say it again. Is it the commutative? That's is that addition? I get them confused, Mama, just so you know, and I might even look in the very back of the book. Is it inverse? Tell me, It's commutative. Okay, that's it. See, that's why I'm asking. Yes, and that's why I was looking back here, because so she's right, and I'm blushing. And this is why we do this, by the way. It's the commutative property of real numbers, right? So it's a commutative property. This is why we do this, by the way, so we can understand what's about to happen here. Because is xy and yx, are they the exact same thing? They are. Watch what the commutative law says. What can I do with my xy? How can I make this match? Can you change this for me, please? You don't have to do this, but we're going to. Because I want this to make so much sense to you that even if you're in pre-algebra, you can do this algebra 2 problem. Even if you're pre-algebra. Look what she just did. She changed the whole problem. Why could she do that? The commutative law. Watch. I'm going to show you something crazy. Watch. If I had 2z, a, b, y plus 3y, b, a, z, you know what I would do? I would change it to 2a, b, y, z plus 3a, b, y, z. What? Why? Why can I do that? What lets me do that? The commutative law, right? xy is the same thing as what? yx. And this is the same thing. Pretend it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is 1 times 2 times, is 4, 1, 2, 3. So 4 times 1 times 2 times 3, is that the same thing as 1 times 2 times 3 times 4? Do we get it? Math rocks when we understand it. When we don't understand it, it's frustrating. Now, we're adding like terms. Adding like terms. What can we add? What goes together? I'm thinking of Sesame Street. 2 of these things are just like the other. I don't know if it's Sesame Street. It's something else. What? Do you see 2 that match? What do you see? Okay. So what's 3 plus 6, guys? I know. It's on its last line. 9xy. Yes. Oh, look, it's a -6. This is why we have conversations. And this is why Miss Shauna regularly embarrasses herself in science and math. So look, what is -6? Okay, here we are on our number line. We're going to review our negative numbers. We love negative numbers, right? Here's 0. Wait, let me face you. Here's 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goes that way. Here's -6. What am I adding? 1, 2, 3. So the answer is -3. I never made it back to 0. So -3, I know. But sometimes negative numbers stink, don't they? Come on, let's just be honest. They do, especially when you're multiplying and dividing them. Plus, what other 2 things match? So 3x, y. No, 2x and 3x. Go ahead and add them. They're both positive. Here, put it next door to it. Right here, next door to it. And she just did a process called simplifying. Can you put plus in the middle of them? That's okay. Thank you. Give her a hand. Thank you, Ava. Oh, was there a +4? +4. Just joking. +4. Here's what I want you guys to see. First of all, we can do Algebra 2 together slowly and digest small concepts as a group. Also, all of these things we learned take us all the way back to elementary math, some of it. Some of it's middle school math. Some of it's pre-algebra. but they're all concepts that even I needed to refresh. I didn't catch the negative number. What happens when you do something like that on an ACT and oops? You know what they're going to have? They're going to have 4 answers on there, one of which is going to have a 9 instead of a -3. One of them, I guarantee you, would be a 9XY, because they're going to count on you not catching that negative. Isn't that nice of them to do that? But they're going to count on you. Okay, moving along, because it's 1:15 and it took me that long to do that. So that's logic. You need to communicate with me, moms, where your students are, so I know how to split up the class during math. I'm not a tutor that believes in trashing math because we're all in different places. I just don't. Okay. I just think that we can learn together. We can. Biology. New book. Is anyone still waiting to get the new book? The best price, if you haven't gotten it yet, is christianbook.com. It is really, really difficult to use the old book. It's so changed. So, free shipping. No, isn't that terrible? I'm thinking about spiral binding it. I'm a little concerned about that. In this thing I gave you, you should have your supply list in here, which I already emailed this to you. And spring protocol we don't know about now. Hopefully we will do something like we planned and get to go to the opera. And you have the books. And I'm going to move into British Lit. British Lit, we read actually 19 things. There are some books that I send you that out. I do my very best to prepare you in advance for subject matter, moms, that is questionable or difficult. So just so you know, if there's profanity, if there is, so each first semester and second semester are in there printed for you now. If you're going to choose one book to read this year as a parent, actually, if you're only going to read one thing, read The Question by Lee Bortons, if you haven't read that, because it teaches you as a parent how to ask really good questions of your students, and it's well worth the money and well worth the read. If you've read The Question, we don't read this until second semester last, but this is about Mother Teresa, and it's a nice read, and you have all year to read it until you catch up. The other one that is a nice read, if you've never read Screw Tape by C.S. Lewis, we read 2 Lewis books this year, and I think 2 in Challenge 4. This is a conversation between like a upper demon and a lower demon, essentially. One demon giving instructions to the other demon. It's a very interesting book. The other 2, one is first semester, one is second. I like this so much better than Pride and Prejudice, but it's a hard book. There is a movie, but there's also, if you have Hulu, I know it's on Hulu, there is a mini-series that's BBC, and it is good. It is a difficult story. Pride and Prejudice, we all know it. Don't watch Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, please. But unless your parents say, let's watch it. I mean, if you watch it, that's cool. But just don't make that what you watch for CC, because that's not going to work out for this year. There is a modern version of Jane Eyre. I think the BBC one is going to be more accurate to the book. But I've told you, I think straight up in there, what the problem is with the storyline. I hate to tell the kids if they haven't read that. Have you guys read my email about what to look out for in literature, kids, students? No? You did? Kind of ruins the book if I tell you. But yeah, so parents read what I told you to watch out for. And Passage to India, especially, this is second semester, as an adult, I couldn't believe it. Because literature's, if you don't know this as much, Laura, but these guys do. This is like, lit is my thing. Writing, literature, this is my strong suit. And I thought I had read all the big pieces of British literature between high school and college. This is so good. And it is like we read Booker T and Frederick Douglass last year. This is so much better about understanding racism and classism and sexism, and it is an incredible story. And please read this before you watch a movie of it. It's hard. It has some of the same elements of To Kill a Mockingbird in it, where someone's accused of something really harsh. And so you've got Hindus and Muslims and Christians and all kinds of racism. So we have world religions happening in this book. This book, if you are kind of concerned about some of these issues in your own student, this would be the book to read, because it's addressing a lot of heavy stuff. And E.M. Forrester grew up in India and wrote this book based on that. So, okay, we're just about there. Look, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Hey, John, tell him about your experience with Beowulf.
What do you, I don't know what to say.
Did you enjoy it? John listened to probably everything last year. Okay, tell him about.
When I read it, I understood it more, I guess, is what. So, yes.
He's on. I don't know which one you read. Yeah, he's on the third one. He's on Sargat one. So, and that's I about fell over, to be honest with you, and it's like, hey, I read it and really liked it. A big thing on the ACT is going to be there are reading comprehension and questions on the ACT. Here's another one. Here, sentence number 5. Which of these would fit better? This one, this one, this one, or don't change it at all? Seriously, that's the common question that's going to happen in the ACT. When you're a reader, it's like, duh, they shouldn't have put parentheses there, or there shouldn't be a comma there, or the sentence was fine just like it was. As parents, I think the best thing to do is look at the schedule and decide what you're going to read, what you're going to listen to. First semester, I gave you guys a huge breather. If you week 9 and 10, you get 2 weeks, and I had the choice between Gulliver's Travels and Modest Proposal, and I gave you Modest Proposal, which is about a 20-page essay, instead of reading Gulliver's Travels, which is like a 200-page book, because you need it because you have a big project. So, read what you can. Hobbit is a great read. Out of the Silent Planet, some of these, like Screw Tape, you can sit down and read this in an evening. It's not like a hard, difficult thing to read. Every chapter is like a letter between Screw Tape and, the enemy is trying to exploit us, and then he signs from the point of the spiritual life, mainly the raw material, your affectionate Uncle Screw Tape. That's what every chapter is like. It's engaging. You won't want to put it down. So, okay, this is the other thing I forgot to say. Second semester, guess what? It is your first year to begin leading seminars. Next year, you will lead 3. You will lead half. But everybody will have a week that you are in charge of British Lit, not me, second semester. So I will give you a chance at the end of first semester to sign up for what book you want to be in charge of. You'll see that some of the books, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. So there will be weeks, though, that we do like 2 weeks on Tale of Two Cities, 2 weeks on Alice in Wonderland, 2 weeks on Hobbit. This is the first time I would ever recommend this. On the upside, I have 3 copies. So if it's your child's week to lead and you don't have this thing, let me know and I'll send it home with them. It's Words Aptly Spoken British Lit. So what it is it's questions that go with the story, but I do have 3. I inherited 2 and I bought 1. I bought 1 used. I had my old one that came back to me and then I had another one. Anyways, doesn't matter, I've got 3. So I don't mind having 2 out as long as I always have 1 home. So if you don't buy it, but it's the first year, like if you can get your hands on one, if you know someone that was in Challenge 2 last year, and you can get your hands on one for just this year, but don't spend $20 for it. It's not, you don't need to do, unless you want it. Okay. British Lit, that's it for British Lit. A lot of reading. Let me really quick hit with biology. Biology is one thing that's different is you have at-home experiments. There is a page in this little booklet I gave you that tells you what you will need to do the at-home experiments. They're done at home because they take time that we can't take in class. So you see for week 4, it takes a cup of grated or blended fresh pineapple. That's kind of tricky. If you need me to bring pineapple in that week for you, we'll have to talk in advance. I'll send an email out and say, hey, moms, do you want me to go buy pineapple for the class? I don't mind doing stuff like that. Everything else, though, I think you can probably do. Jell-O, grater, blender, all of that you can do. I will be buying bean seeds you can do. I'm just looking. Potting soil, I could probably bring in a great big thing of potting soil and let everybody take 2 cups home that week. Is Karo syrup okay for everybody? Okay, let me look at the other page. Everybody, are you okay providing yeast at home? I can provide balloons. I will provide radish seeds for Module 7. I just have to remember to order them this week. You guys have to do yogurt, milk. What about, it says 5 pint-sized sterilized canning jars with lids. That's expensive. Okay. It's not till 2nd semester, so this is new to me that the guide has you doing experiments at home. Sorry. Bird seed, again, I could probably get a big bag of bird seed. Binoculars, we have binoculars if you need some. Okay. Also, just to make sure everybody's clear, you are providing a lab journal that has the grid lines, that's not the right words, graph lines. And it needs to not be spiral bound. It needs to have that composition binding. Okay, all right. I'm not going to talk a lot about the art grant. There's some Q&As there about the art grant. That's on week 10, guys. You're presenting your art grant, and there's some questions and answers. So I've talked about the books for Marvelous to Behold and all that. I had a game. That's gone. One thing is, and I would love if a mom wants to jump in and help, I have the last pages are about Lincoln-Douglas debate, which is new this year. And the very back page is about a museum trip. So we're supposed to, by week 11, have gone to an art museum. I don't see it happening for a semester. So I was on a call to finish out my training with the person that's over the Challenge 2 for the entire country. And I said, what do I do? Because we could do a virtual art museum, but that stinks. It's not the same as getting to go in and see. I mean, we don't know what 2nd semester looks like, but what she suggested is swapping, and she said, see what your mothers say, take a poll from your mothers, is swapping the art museum trip with the Lincoln-Douglas debate. So what that would mean is Lincoln-Douglas debate would come into first semester week 11. Actually, not 11. It would be week 15 and 14. And the museum would come to week 10 of semester 2. My only concern is that we don't get to give the kind of training for Lincoln Douglas that it needs. Thoughts, moms? Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Next week. It's $100. And how much space do you still have? Mm-hmm. And how about TP? So here's what I'm gonna say, and then I'll be done after this. I highly recommend, if you go to the camp, which I haven't talked to my kids yet, but I would like them to go. I highly recommend you go to Team Policy, not Lincoln Douglas. And this is why in Challenge 3, we will be Lincoln Douglas heavy. So I want to make sure, most of my students last year, if you weren't in Team Policy debate, still had a high degree of nervousness around Team Policy. So since our first Team Policy, if you look at first semester, our first Team Policy debate is week 5. And let me tell you what the resolution is. I can do that super fast here. Like I say that. Let me just get past debate. I need to say one thing. The book, the art, if you didn't hear me say it already, the State of the Arts, just decide, if you have this book, just take a look at it and decide. I don't have all the places marked, but it's written by a Christian author, but some of the descriptions of art, because they're talking about how Western art developed, and some of the descriptions of art are not nice. And ugly. It is ugly. But he talks about Mapplethorpe and some things like that, where the way they created their art is just yuck. So that book is not a required book for CC for Challenge 2. If you have it, it's not something I'm just going to be pretty honest. It's not something that most of your kids are unaware of. It wouldn't be like overly shocking to them, but it's not necessary either. I keep waiting for them to pull it out of the curriculum. I don't know why they keep it there, honestly. Okay, Lincoln Douglas, let's see, where are my resolutions? It should be giving me my resolutions. I'm so sorry, guys. I just want to tell you what the resolution is. It must be somewhere else in the guide. I'll email it out to you, because it's not right. It's not right here. No one's going to, any feelings on how we change it? No one has an opinion? If we want to move LD to first semester and then wait for the art museum to second? So the art museum trip, so this is my second time directing 2. So what we did is we went down to NOMA in New Orleans, and parents came if they wanted. And we had one of the art dossiers gave us a tour. They knew in advance to steer us away from just straight up from nudes. So we split up into groups. They gave us tours. And what the students are supposed to do is find a piece of art that really speaks to them. And then after we had the hour tour, then they had 30 minutes with this. And they have certain things they're supposed to answer that I get from CC. And they answer about the art that they choose. And then they sketch that piece of art. They don't have to be artists, but they sketch it. They take pictures of it. And then they give a persuasive speech on week Well, here it's week 14 and 15. It's like it's their blue book. And they give a persuasive speech about what the truth, goodness, and beauty is in that piece of art. So what truth is, what the message is. Goodness is like technique, how they're... I'm looking to see if I'm getting it right, because he just did this. Am I getting it right, Landon? Did you do an art museum trip? Yeah. And then the beauty is the overall impression that comes from it. And so you're kind of trying to persuade people. I didn't end up getting to do it, but I have Renaissance art Go Fish that I was going to use today, but I didn't get to. But sometimes the very first piece of art I looked at, I remember thinking, that's ugly. I didn't like it. And so it's training ourselves to say, just because it's not my taste doesn't mean it's ugly. There are some things in art that are, but that's because there's no truth and there's no goodness in it, right? So we can say that there's no beauty. So that's the thing. So actually, the art grant project is less work than Lincoln Douglas. Lincoln Douglas is more work. Second semester? Yes. Yeah. 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 I think so. We would have to start Lincoln Douglas on week 6. So guys, we will have to start Lincoln Douglas prep on week 6. So we'll get our resolution on week 6, and we'll have to start. So the big difference between Lincoln Douglas and team policy is Lincoln Douglas is one-on-one. What material you get is different. The research looks different because in team policy, you're actually debating a policy, like the United States should substantially change its immigration policy. Lincoln Douglas is about a value. You can tell me if I'm wrong, right? So the resolution, and I need to find in the guide the resolution, but the resolution might look more like, I know the resolution. Yes. And this is my second year, I know the resolution. The resolution in CC, our Lincoln Douglas resolution, is protecting a great piece of art is worth risking your life. It's something like that. So you see, it's not a policy. Is it worth risking? So you think of, there's a movie out, an old movie, well, it's not old, but in the last 10 years, called Monuments Men. And they were people that went, or Monuments Men. But anyways, what they did is they were trying to protect art from the Nazis. They were just destroying art, Renaissance art. And people died protecting art. So the idea is it worth risking your life for a great piece of art? I think it's not just art, but because I remember when my class did it, they were talking about any great piece of civilization. So they talked about like even the Declaration of Independence. And oh my goodness, remember I had Luke and Jackson, and it was fun having opposite sides. So yeah, so that's it. So now that you know that's the resolution, do you think if you had week 6 of first semester to start on it, you could handle it? And so the kind of information you're looking up is different than just being fact driven. It's also going to be stories, and it's a little bit more about the pathos, ethos, and logos. You're going to be appealing more to pathos and ethos in this situation. So, okay, guys, I know I'm the longest. You can never complain that you don't get your money's worth. I would go till dinner time with class. They know that. Okay, questions. How about this? I'll stay up here. If you have a question, come hit me up. If you want to look at a book or have a question about a book, let me know. I feel so bad. This mom let out all of her anger at me on eBay. She bought cartography from me, and she thought she had bought timeline cards or something, or science cards for her high schooler. And so instead of, she said, basically said I didn't want her feedback because she couldn't understand how this stack of cards was ever going to benefit her high school kid. And I was like, because she bought everything the catalog said to buy. Don't buy everything in the catalog. Ask me first, please. Always ask me first. The end. Goodbye, computer. Goodbye. That wasn't for you. That was